Okay, so now this lecture will be dedicated to enzyme kinetics. This is the disclaimer that I make in my presentations, that it is meant for you and it should not be used for any other purpose, copied or posted on any site without permission of the author, that is me. And some of the picture in the presentation have been taken from public domain websites or popular books to make the topic easy to understand. The credit for such pictures remains with the original publisher. So enzyme kinetics, the enzyme catalyzed reaction, they follow the same kinetics as that of the non-enzyme catalyzed reaction. Okay, with one major difference. And what is that difference? For example, enzyme catalyzed reaction, they show what is called as saturation effect. So what is that saturation effect? So this is a graph between the rate of enzyme catalyzed reaction V0 and substrate concentration. Please remember that this is an enzyme catalyzed reaction we are talking about. And what do you see? Typically, you will see this kind of a rectangular hyperbolic graph. This is a characteristic of enzyme catalyzed reaction. So if you analyze this particular graph, you understand that initially up to this point, maybe when you increase the substrate concentration, there is a corresponding increase in the rate of enzyme catalyzed reaction. And this is called as first order reaction kinetics. This is called as first order reaction kinetics. Beyond this point, till maybe this point, when you further increase the substrate concentration, you do see increase in the reaction velocity, but it is not proportionate to the increase in the substrate concentration. Okay, so this is called as mixed order reaction kinetics, mixed order, where the increase in the reaction velocity is not proportional to increase in the concentration of the substrate. And beyond this particular point, when you further increase the substrate concentration, the rate doesn't increase. It has attained a plateau. Okay, because it is at this point that enzyme concentration has become limiting factor. Whatever enzyme was there in the reaction medium, it has all been utilized, it has all been engaged by the substrate molecules. And if you add enzyme over here, then only the reaction will go in this particular direction. That means enzyme has become limiting at this particular point. The reaction velocity can be increased only when you add some more enzyme over here. Okay, so this kind of behavior, this kind of graph, you get only in enzyme catalyzed reaction. Non-enzyme catalyzed chemical reaction will not show this kind of a graph. Okay, so this is one major difference between the chemical reaction kinetics of enzyme catalyzed reaction and non-enzyme catalyzed reaction. And what is that? If you have to say it in one word, that enzyme catalyzed reaction, they show what is called as saturation effect. Okay, why it shows that saturation effect? And the answer to that is that people predicted, particularly Brown and Henry, they predicted that all enzyme catalyzed reaction, they go through a transient intermediary step, and that stage is formation of ES complex. That enzyme combines with substrate and then to form a transient means temporary enzyme substrate complex, which is then processed to get you the product, and the enzyme is released back, right? So because it will take some time for the complex to be formed and then processed and product to be formed and enzyme to be released, all enzyme catalyzed reaction, they will show this kind of a saturation effect, because you have a certain amount, definite quantity of enzyme in the reaction medium. Okay, so whatever enzyme quantity you have used, it has all been used up over here. So if you want to see further increase in the rate of the reaction, then at this point you have to add the enzyme. Enzyme has become limiting factor. Now this hypothesis, this particular, what you can say, prediction that enzyme catalyzed reaction go through this intermediate stage, it was later on confirmed, proved by a number of different types of techniques. For example, electron microscopy, X-ray diffraction, and spectroscopic techniques. All of them showed yes, this enzyme catalyzed reaction, they go through an intermediate stage, that is enzyme substrate complex formation. Now, in 1913, these two very famous biochemists, Michaelis and Menten, they proposed a general theory, which general theory of enzyme action and kinetics. Later on, Briggs and Haldane also contributed in this. This theory is considered as basic to all the aspects of enzyme kinetics and inhibition, even today. What does it do? It establishes a mathematical relationship among initial velocity, substrate concentration, and a characteristic of enzyme in an enzyme catalyzed reaction. Okay, so that characteristic of enzyme is called as Michaelis constant, Km. So this particular Michaelis-Menten equation, it establishes a mathematical relationship among, because there are more than two, therefore we are using the word among, initial velocity, substrate concentration, maximum velocity, and a characteristic of enzyme that is called as Km. And when they proposed this particular theory, when they derived this particular theory, initially Michaelis and Menten, and later on Briggs and Haldane, they made certain general assumptions. So what were those assumptions? That initially they did it for one substrate enzyme catalyzed reaction, one substrate. Please remember that in biological system, these one substrate enzyme catalyzed reactions are very rare. What majority of the reactions are, they are two substrate enzyme catalyzed reaction. But when you go for derivatizing the Michaelis-Menten equation for two substrate enzyme catalyzed reaction, it becomes very complicated. So for the sake of understanding, they started with one substrate enzyme catalyzed reaction. Second assumption that was made was that it is a reversible reaction, that the reaction that is catalyzed by enzyme is reversible. Then ET, it represents total enzyme concentration in the reaction medium. Total enzyme concentration in the reaction medium. ES is that component of the enzyme which is bound to the substrate. Okay, enzyme bound to the substrate. And E, it is the free enzyme. And it can be obtained by subtracting ES from ET. Means enzyme which is bound to the substrate, if you subtract it from the total enzyme, then what you get enzyme which is free. And it is also assumed that substrate that is present in the reaction medium is in far, far more concentration than the enzyme. Substrate concentration is very high. Substrate concentration is very high, enzyme concentration is low. And therefore, after some time, the enzyme concentration becomes a limiting factor. Okay, this is concentration of substrate and this is concentration of the enzyme. Right? So in all the reactions, it is assumed that substrate is present in far more concentration compared to that of the concentration of the enzyme. Okay, so now this is the derivation of the Michaelis-Menten equation. So as I said, the reaction takes place. It is one substrate enzyme catalyzed reaction. You have one substrate. It combines with enzyme. So you get an enzyme substrate complex. This is step one. It takes place in two steps. And in the second step, this enzyme substrate complex that is formed, it undergoes dissociation. So what you recover the enzyme back and the product is formed. Right? So there are two stages, two-step reaction. In initial velocity, these are the reaction rate constants. This is forward rate constant K1. This is K2 is reverse rate constant. And this is forward rate constant of the reaction 2. Initial velocity V0, it is equal to rate of breakdown of ES. Okay, so rate of breakdown of ES is it breaks down here in reaction 2 to give you E plus P. So it is given by V0 can be given by V0 is equal to K3 rate constant and ES, right? The problem is neither K3 nor ES, it can be measured directly. And I told you, please remember that ES is a transient species. Okay, it requires specialized techniques to visualize ES complex. So it is very difficult to measure. So what people have done, that since both of these cannot be directly measured, calculate the rate of formation and rate of breakdown of ES. Some alternative method we have to evolve, and for that what we are doing, we are calculating the rate of formation and rate of breakdown of ES. So let us see how ES is formed. So ES is formed in two different ways, or it can be formed in two different ways. One is E combines with S to give you ES. This is forward reaction 1. And second is reverse reaction of E combining with P giving you ES, right? But suppose if you are in the beginning of the reaction, you just started the reaction, this particular will not take place because there will not be any product, and therefore it cannot combine with E to give you back ES. So what you have, formation of ES is only one way, E combining with substrate to give you the enzyme substrate complex formation. So it can be given by this equation, dES upon dt in a given time, forward rate constant K1, E and S. And E can also be written as K1 ET minus ES. I told you in the previous slide that free enzyme is equal to total enzyme minus enzyme bound to the substrate. So it can be written this way also, right? Now, this is formation. This is breakdown will be, similarly the breakdown, it can take place in two different ways. Breakdown of ES can also take place in two different ways. One is reverse reaction of this ES, it is broken down to give you E and S. And second is ES, when it is broken down, when it is hydrolyzed, you get E and P. So there are two different ways ES complex can be broken down. Rate of breakdown of ES therefore will be equal to, minus sign indicates rate of breakdown, will be equal to K plus 2, this reverse rate constant K plus 2, ES plus K plus 3, forward rate constant ES. Okay, so now you have two things. You have rate of formation of ES and you have rate of breakdown of ES. So at equilibrium is that stage where the formation of ES is equal to the breakdown. So you can write both these things here like this. So what you will have when you solve this, you get this K plus 2, K2 plus K3 over K1, and this is equal to what is called as Km. This is what is called as Michaelis-Menten constant. So what you have basically, when you solve this, and I'll be sharing these pages with you in the classroom. Those of you who have not joined the classroom should join it. So you will have ES means ET minus ES is equal to E, S upon ES is equal to Km. And when you further solve this, these are the steps. These are mathematical steps. So when you solve this, what you get a expression for ES. ES is equal to S upon ET Km plus S. Okay, so you get an expression for ES. And you remember initially when we said that initial velocity is equal to K3 ES. So now we can replace the value of ES in this equation here. So you will have V0 is equal to K3S ET upon Km plus S, right? What you have done, you have replaced the value of ES. This is the value of ES in this equation here, right? Under saturating conditions, when you have excess of substrate concentration, the initial velocity, the rate of reaction is, the reaction is taking place at its maximum velocity. So we refer it as Vmax, maximum velocity. When you have very high concentration of substrate, the reaction proceeds at the maximum velocity. So it is referred to as Vmax, and Vmax is given by K plus K3 into ET, means total enzyme concentration. All the enzyme that has been involved. Here it was enzyme bound to the substrate. Here it is all the enzyme, K3ET. So what we are doing is, we are replacing the value of K3ET here. You know, you have K3ET here. So K3ET is equal to Vmax. So K3ET in this particular equation, if they are replaced by Vmax, you get this particular equation. V0 is equal to Vmax into bracket S upon Km plus S. And this particular reaction is called as Michaelis-Menten equation. This is the basic of all the enzymology. You must understand, you must learn to derive this particular equation. So you need to practice it, and you need to understand how this particular equation is derived. Okay, so let us understand something about the Michaelis constant. It is also called as Km, Michaelis constant. So you have this equation, V0, now we have just derived it. V0 is equal to Vmax into bracket S upon Km plus S. So if you assume that V0, that is initial velocity, is half of the maximum velocity. Initial velocity is half of the maximum velocity. That is Vmax by 2. So if you replace V0 by Vmax by 2, okay, so you get Vmax by 2 upon Vmax S Km plus S. Now if you divide both sides by Vmax, you get this particular value, which upon, you know, further when you solve it, you get this Km plus S is equal to S, or Km is equal to S. Okay, you must understand, you must learn how to derive this, right? So you get Km is equal to S when initial velocity is half of the maximum velocity. Okay, so that becomes the definition of Michaelis constant also, that it is defined as the concentration of the substrate. It is that concentration of substrate where the initial velocity V0 is half of the maximum velocity. Initial velocity V0 is half of the maximum velocity. That concentration of substrate is called as Km. And how can you derive it? How can you experimentally obtain it? You can obtain it by the direct plot. When you plot substrate concentration versus the velocity, you get, as I said, a rectangular hyperbola. Okay, so let's say this is the maximum velocity where it has attained the plateau. Somewhere here, it will go later like this. Okay, so this is the maximum velocity. Half of the maximum velocity is this. So concentration of substrate where we have achieved the half of maximum velocity can be obtained by drawing a perpendicular line here. So this is the substrate concentration where you have achieved half of the maximum velocity. So this value has become Km. This becomes the Km. You must, I'm repeating, I'm emphasizing, I'm stressing that you must understand what is Km, what is its definition, how can you experimentally obtain it. Now there is another very interesting, what you can say, analysis based on the Michaelis equation. So this is the Michaelis equation. V0 is equal to Vmax S Km plus S. You must memorize it. Now if you take reciprocal on both sides, we take reciprocal of V0, 1 over V0, and we take reciprocal of this whole part, 1 upon Vmax S Km plus S. I have taken it over here, I have shown it over here. So you have this. And when you solve it further, it becomes like this. And when you rearrange it, so you get 1 over V0, Km upon Vmax S plus S upon Vmax S. So you can cancel these two. So what you are remaining with, 1 upon V0 is equal to Km upon Vmax, 1 upon S plus 1 upon Vmax. This particular derivation obtained from Michaelis constant is called as Lineweaver-Burke equation. Where do you get it? How do you get it? By taking reciprocal on both sides. What is the advantage of this particular equation? So now if you plot 1 over S over 1 over V0, 1 over V0 on this side. In the direct plot, what do? You plot substrate concentration versus initial velocity. Here what you are doing, on both the axes, you have the reciprocal, 1 over substrate concentration, 1 over V0. So instead of getting a rectangular hyperbola, you get a straight line. See, because what happened in rectangular hyperbola in the previous slide, you get only the approximate values of Vmax and approximate value of Km. Because the value of Vmax is approximate, the value of Km obtained by the direct plot is also approximate. For getting the true values of Km and Vmax, correct values of Km and Vmax, this Lineweaver-Burke plot or double reciprocal plot, this is also called as double reciprocal plot. It is very helpful. Okay, this is called as Lineweaver-Burke plot, or it is also called as double reciprocal plot. Double reciprocal means you are taking reciprocal of V0 initial velocity, and you are taking reciprocal of substrate concentration. So double reciprocal, so you get a straight line. Intercept of this line on x-axis, this is x-axis, and this is y-axis. So intercept of this line on x-axis is 1 over Km, and it will be the exact value of Km. It will not be an approximation, right? And intercept of this line on y-axis, this is 1 over Vmax. This again is going to be the exact value of Vmax, not the approximate value of Vmax as one would get in the direct plot. So this is the advantage of double reciprocal plot, that you get exact values of Km and Vmax. So let us come back to this Michaelis constant. So as I said earlier, Michaelis constant, it is defined as that concentration of substrate at which the initial velocity is half of the maximum velocity. You must memorize this particular definition. It is that concentration of substrate where the initial velocity is exactly half of the maximum velocity. What does it do? This Michaelis constant, it is an indication of affinity of enzyme with its substrate. It shows how much affinity the enzyme has for its substrate. A low Km indicates strong affinity and vice versa. A low Km indicates strong affinity and vice versa. Means higher Km will indicate that the enzyme doesn't have that much of affinity for that particular substrate. It is a constant for an enzyme for a given substrate. An enzyme may have, as I said in biological system, majority of these enzyme catalyzed reactions are two substrates. So an enzyme may have more than one substrate also. So for a given substrate, under a given set of condition, this is a constant for an enzyme. For a given set of condition, for a given substrate, this Km is a constant for an enzyme. I am repeating it once again, that it is a constant for an enzyme for a given substrate. Why I am using the word given substrate? Because some enzymes may have more than one substrate also. You may have two substrates, A and B. So you have to specify that you are giving Km for substrate A, or you are showing Km for substrate B, Km A or Km B. Okay, so for a given substrate under a given set of condition, what is the temperature, what is the pH? Because it changes with pH and temperature. It changes with pH and temperature. It is an important and useful characteristic of enzymes in kinetics, quantitative assay, and purification. So this Km plays a very significant role in number of enzyme related parameters in kinetics, in quantitative assays, and when you purify the enzyme protein. And it also plays important role in some enzyme regulatory mechanism. Okay, for example, a reaction catalyzed by enzyme asparginase. So this is the reaction which is catalyzed by asparginase. Aspargine is the substrate, and it gets converted to aspartate with the concomitant release of ammonium ions, NH4 plus. It should be NH4 यहाँ होना चाहिए और यहाँ माइनस NH4 plus, right? Now, what is the significance of this particular reaction? What was observed was this, that one type of leukemia. So you understand what is meant by leukemia. Leukemia is a type of blood cancer. So what do you have in this leukemia? You see uncontrolled growth of WBCs, white blood cells. Okay, uncontrolled proliferation of WBCs. That is called as leukemia, one type of leukemia. So this leukemia, where you see this uncontrolled growth of WBCs, white blood cells, it can be cured by administering enzyme asparaginase. Now, please understand, I am going very slowly, that one type of leukemia, now you understand what is meant by leukemia. Leukemia is uncontrolled growth of WBCs. So there is an abrupt increase in the number of WBCs, right? So that leukemia can be cured by administering asparaginase. Okay. So people started looking for asparaginase from different sources. So what they came to know, that not all asparaginase are good at it. Not all asparaginase can cure, can control the growth of WBCs. So the puzzling question was, why so? Because the enzyme remains the same, it catalyzes the reaction, but why only one asparaginase obtained for a given source, from a given source only, can prevent the growth of WBCs and not asparaginase obtained from other sources? So the answer lied there. I'm explaining this, that asparaginase, it acts on asparagine. This asparagine is the substrate for the growth of WBC. Okay, and this asparagine is present in very low concentration in the blood. So when asparagine is removed, means asparagine is converted to aspartate, the asparagine is no longer available for the WBCs to grow, and their growth stops. This is the simple biochemistry of control of leukemia by asparaginase, right? But since asparagine is present in very low concentration in the blood, you require an enzyme which is capable of converting asparagine to aspartate at a considerable speed, at a considerable rate of reaction, even when it is present at a very low concentration. So you require an asparaginase, in other words, where the Km is very low. Okay, you may have asparaginase from some other source, the enzyme is same, it still catalyzes the same reaction, but if it has a higher Km, that means it requires a higher concentration of substrate to achieve half maximum velocity. That particular asparaginase will not be good in curing the cancer. You require an asparaginase where the Km is low, that means this enzyme is capable of achieving half of the maximum velocity even with very low concentration of substrate. That particular enzyme will be capable of very rapidly removing asparagine, very rapidly converting asparagine to aspartate, not allowing it to be used by the WBCs. So that a particular asparaginase will be good. That particular asparaginase will be efficient in controlling the growth of the WBCs. Another characteristic that comes in kinetics is called as turnover number. So this turnover number, it is defined as the number of substrate molecules converted into product by one enzyme molecule. One enzyme molecule, yeah, one active site. Both are true because every enzyme will have only one active site. So what we are talking of per enzyme molecule, by an enzyme molecule, by one active site in unit time when it is fully saturated, under saturating conditions of substrate. So number of substrate molecules converted into product per active site, per enzyme molecule in unit time under saturating substrate concentration is called as turnover number. It is also called as catalytic constant, Kcat. It is also called as catalytic constant or Kcat of an enzyme, and it is equal to the kinetic constant K3. So now you understand what is K3. K3 is E plus S when it gives ES, when it gives you E and P, that forward reaction constant, rate constant is K3. Okay. So Vmax is equal to K3 ET. ET, why we are saying ET, total enzyme concentration, because we are talking of saturating concentration of substrates. So Vmax will be equal to K3 ET, and you can very easily find out a equation for K3. K3 will therefore be equal to maximum velocity upon total enzyme concentration. So if you know the maximum velocity and if you know the total enzyme concentration, you can very easily calculate the turnover number or catalytic constant of that enzyme. Number of substrate molecules converted into product in unit time by single enzyme molecule is called as turnover number, right? And from the turnover number, when you take the reciprocal of the turnover number, 1 upon K3, this gives you, this is the time required for completing one catalytic cycle. If you take the reciprocal of turnover number, it will give you the time required for completion of one catalytic cycle, right? So for example, let's say turnover number is 10. What does it signify? It signifies that in unit time, one enzyme molecule, means one active site, is capable of converting 10 substrate molecules into product in unit time, right? So this is the turnover number or catalytic constant. And what will be the time required for completion of one catalytic cycle? That will be 1 by 10. 1 by 10, right? 1 upon K3, K3 is 10, so therefore it will be 1 by 10, that is 0.1. So if your unit is second, so it will be 0.1 second. So 0.1 second is the time which is required for completing one catalytic cycle. Means for completing conversion of one substrate into one product. When one substrate gets converted into product, this completes one catalytic cycle. So for completing one catalytic cycle, the time required would be 0.1, depending upon what unit you are using, 1 second, 1 minute, whatever, unit time. So it will be 0.1 second, right? Another interesting thing that comes is the ratio of Kcat upon Km. So now you know what is Kcat, catalytic constant or turnover number, upon Km. It provides a measure of enzyme's catalytic efficiency. When you take the ratio of these two, it provides the measure of catalytic efficiency of the enzyme. And please remember, this ratio, it cannot be greater than the value of kinetic constant K1. So you know what is K1? That is decomposition of ES, first reaction, formation of ES. Decomposition of ES to E and P cannot take place at a rate greater than its formation from E and S. E and S will combine to give you ES and the rate constant is K1. So this catalytic constant cannot be greater, it cannot have a value greater than that constant K1. What does it signify? It signifies that decomposition of ES to E and P, second equation, cannot take place at a rate greater than its formation. It cannot take place. Unless you have ES, it cannot be decomposed. So rate of decomposition of ES to E and P cannot be greater than rate of its formation. Okay. So value of Kcat upon Km can never be more than the value of K1. Most efficient enzymes, they have ratio of Kcat upon Km near diffusion control limits. And they are of the order of 10 to the power 8 to 10 to the power 9 per molar per second. Now what does it mean? In simple words, when an enzyme is very efficient, the turnover number is going to be very high. It will take minimum time to convert substrate into product. Okay, and minimum means what? The time that a substrate molecule required to diffuse through the medium and get in close proximity to the active site of the enzyme. And then once a product has been formed, that product has to diffuse into the reaction medium so that the active site can be occupied by the next substrate molecule. So the time required for the substrate molecule to travel to this enzyme active site and the product to leave the enzyme active site, that is the minimum time those enzymes will require. They are so efficient that as soon as the substrate comes at the active site, they will be converting into the product. So those are called as most efficient enzymes, and they will have their turnover numbers or ratio of Kcat upon Km of the order of 10 to the power 8 to 10 to the power 9 substrate molecules per second, right? Such enzymes, they are said to have attained kinetic perfection. इससे अच्छा कुछ नहीं हो सकता. They have attained the kinetic perfection. They are operating at their highest efficiency. And some of the enzymes which have attained kinetic perfection are carbonic anhydrase, acetylcholinesterase, and triose phosphate isomerase. So this particular table gives you the Km, the Kcat and Kcat upon Km values of number of enzymes. So you must remember that 10 to the power 8, 10 to the power 7, 10 to the power 8. These are the enzymes which are said to have attained the kinetic perfection. That means they have very high catalytic efficiency. They can convert substrate into product at a very high speed. 1.5 into 10 to the power 8 number of substrate molecules getting converted into product in a unit time. So I'll be sharing this. Thank you.